Good morning. This is Mike Houston with your Thursday morning weather hazard briefing for southeast Idaho. Looking at our weather impact summary, we see a series of Pacific disturbances will rotate through the region today through Saturday. This should result in strong gusty winds and progressively cooler temperatures across the region. We will see a return of unseasonably warm and dry conditions early next week as a ridge of high pressure builds across the region. Looking at satellite imagery this morning, we have a low-pressure system positioned here off the northwest Canadian coast. There are embedded disturbances rotating through the southern part of the low and into the Pacific Northwest. In fact, we have one right here lifting up into Canada, a second one back in here, which will rotate into the northwest coast today and across the Panhandle, which will begin to bring us some weather. And there's another disturbance back here towards the Aleutians, which will come in to play later in the weekend. All right, our weather impact overview. Basically, we're looking at breezy to windy conditions across the region with those storm systems moving through. Looks like we'll see a slight chance of precipitation up in the Central Mountains both Thursday, Friday, and to a lesser extent Saturday. By Sunday, the ridge begins to develop across the west coast, and we should see warmer temperatures return into the region early next week. We do have a wind advisory out for the upper Snake River Plain, and then a lake wind advisory down here for American Falls today, and that'll continue through 9 p.m. Looking at the storm track for today, we do have a disturbance, like I said, moving in through Washington and Oregon this morning and then the Panhandle this afternoon. That will bring some precipitation to the region. This is the probability of precipitation. And you can see our best chance of precipitation here is in the Central Mountains and Upper Snake Highlands as that storm system pushes through the Panhandle today. Daytime high temperatures will be a little cooler than what we've seen. Highs generally in the mid to upper 70s here in the Snake River Plain and mid 60s to lower 70s here in the Central Mountains. A little warmer across the southeast highlands, generally in the mid 70s to lower 80s. Minimum relative humidities today, generally in the 20s in the Snake River Plain, 30s to 40s in the Central Mountains, and if you get down here towards the Utah border, maybe see some teens, but generally running in the 20s here throughout the southeast highlands. As I mentioned, it should be fairly breezy today with winds picking up this afternoon. Here we are looking at wind gusts of 35, maybe even 40 here across INL, which is the reason we have a wind advisory out in that region, and upwards of 20 to 35 down here across the greater part of the remainder of the Snake River Plain. Obviously winds throughout the Central Mountains and Southern Highlands as well. By Friday, the storm track really becomes more of a westerly flow as we have yet another storm system or disturbance approaching the coast. It looks like we'll get a little bit of a break. This system will move in late in the afternoon and overnight into Saturday, but the break will be a little lighter precipitation chances across the Central Mountains. Winds will be slightly lighter across the Snake River Plain through the day on Friday, but still elevated. And then on Saturday, that system progresses through the region. You can see the storm track really diving through southeast Idaho at this time. We should see a better chance of precipitation through the day on Saturday as that system works through. This particular graphic really isn't showing that too well, but we should see a better chance of precipitation here throughout the Central Mountains and across the northeast highlands. And we might even see a stray shower or two making its way into the Snake Plain on Saturday. Temperatures should bottom out Saturday afternoon with highs generally in the mid-60s and maybe getting up to 70 down here in the Magic Valley, certainly in the 50s to lower 60s here in the Central Mountains and generally in the 60s in the southeast highlands. Minimum relative humidities for Saturday should peak generally in the 30s here across the region, maybe into the 40s here in the Central Mountains. We will continue to see wind as that storm system comes through, but the brunt of the wind will be across the Snake River Plain and southern highlands. We'll see a little lighter gustiness here across the Salmon Chalice as that storm track begins to sink further south. And then on Monday, as I promised, that high-pressure ridge will begin to redevelop across the west coast. And starting Monday and going in through the latter part of the week, we should see a return of unseasonably warm conditions and dry conditions as well through the week. Just showing you a flavor of the temperatures here. Even on Tuesday, we're getting back up towards 80 here in the eastern Magic Valley, and certainly in the mid-60s to mid-70s here in the Central Mountains and Southeast Highlands. Okay, to summarize, we have a series of Pacific disturbances which will rotate through the region today through Saturday. This will result in strong gusty winds and progressively cooler temperatures through the period. We are looking at unseasonably warm and dry conditions returning to the region early next week as a ridge of high pressure rebounds across the region. That's all I had for you here this morning. If you had any comments or questions, please do give us a call here at the number on the screen. Thank you.